What's going on, workforce? Brian here, and in today's video I want to talk about should Final Fantasy XIV finally add the WoW subscription token model. So let's discuss. So to start, I think Final Fantasy XIV should absolutely bring in the WoW token system. I tried to find the interview that Yoshi P gave, but when WoW brought it in, Yoshi P was asked, like, do they see themselves maybe going in that direction? He says they're obviously going to watch World of Warcraft, see how it goes. And then if it makes sense, they would bring it into Final Fantasy XIV, either if the players wanted it or if it really made sense. That's years ago, and I think for the most part, when you look at EVE Online, when you look at Guild Wars 2, when you look at World of Warcraft, these are successful models with not just combating RMT, but also just giving players the option to be able to progress the way they want to progress. If a player has more cash than they have time, why not allow them to have a legitimate way to go about it? And you might think that that is not a fair approach, but let me remind you, RMT only exists because people are willing to spend money on it. And so you can say, well, we can combat RMT, but they're going to always exist. Even if we implemented this token system in the game itself, yeah, they're still going to exist, but at least this gives a very protected and a reasonable way to go about it, and also it can help Square-Enix as well. It just seems to make the most sense because this has been proven to work, and you can disagree with that statement, but I think the majority of games that exist right now out there realize this as an aspect, and there's no reason you have to go to a third party to be able to acquire this kind of content, whether it's skill, etc., rather than you can just go ahead and see 14's, right now 14 has a cash shop, and that's the page that we're on right now. So there's obviously some hurdles. 14's economy would need to be updated, meaning that there needs to be more guild syncs in the game. Things like, obviously mounts, 5 million, 10 million, 50, 100, 500 million, or, whatever to the maximum value that guild, can be acquired, so that you as a player, if you especially have a lot of guild, you can choose. It gives you options. Do you want to mount, or do you want to have, 1 month of your subscription fee covered by somebody who, is in need of that much money and doesn't want to go to a shady website where they could get their information stolen. So the other thing about it is that outside of the economy changes that would absolutely have to happen for this to work in Final Fantasy XIV, the other thing that would have to happen is we'd have to have this MOG station migrated into the game itself. We should not have to be going to a third-party website, or not in this case third-party, first-party website, to be able to acquire these items when it should just happen in-game. Now, I have a theory that we're going to see that sometime in 5.0. It just seems to make sense for how that's been introduced, etc. But at the end of the day, I think it just is going to make sense that if they were able to do that, where you could purchase your subscription time in the game itself, you can then use it to put it up on the market board and go from there. Now, whether as a individual token or if it was crysta, because Final Fantasy XIV already has a premium currency and that can be used to pay for your subscription. It's called crysta. You can see I have 207 crysta. The reason for this is that I bought the crysta back when 1.0 launched, and I used it to actually cover my first 6 months of my subscription, and because I had a reduced rate, I ended up with a balance of 207 and not much that I want to spend it on. The thing that, and the power of crysta itself, is that you could use it to spend it on your subscription. You could use it to, to buy, let's say you want to buy Fantasia. Let's say you want to buy, an outfit or two. Now, right now it's showing USD. I don't think right now you can use crysta, but that is the other change that would need to happen. Allowing crysta to be a premium currency within the Final Fantasy, the Square-Enix ecosystem itself. They could actually actively compete with Blizzard, where you can use that time to be able to buy Destiny, to buy other games within their ecosystem of Battle.net. Square-Enix should hopefully have that same kind of mentality that that is brought to it. Finally, I think outside of when we get past economic changes, guild syncs, things like that, I think that obviously the most things that makes the sense is that the gear that drops from dungeons needs to be tradable. And I say this because you should then have crafters to be able to enhance that gear, or also you can work on your desynth skill from the gear that drops in dungeons. Again, improving the overall economy, getting things moving. One of the things that guild only has value when it's actually moving. So you have these players who just store up a huge sum of gil, and they have nothing to spend it on. They just, well, and there's really, it doesn't seem like to be any kind of reason for that to exist, because there are no mounts, there are no massively big gil sinks, but there's also not the ability to go and pay for their subscription. And I think paying for the subscription is the real big key here, because when you look at how it's handled in these types of games, it's driven by an algorithm. Price and demand have an impact. So you could look at it and say, is it 50 million gil and you get a month's time? As you know, as that goes on, that price is going to fluctuate, driven by demand. So you as a player can choose, if you have that kind of gil and you can spare that kind of gil and it's no big deal for you, you know, how much subtime could you get? That in and of itself, I think, is something that would be a huge asset to Final Fantasy XIV going forward. I'm not advocating for the free-to-play model. Some people sometimes confuse this token system for a free-to-play system. That is not the case. The game is a subscription-based game, but you get the option of using the in-game currency if you have more time than you have money to be able to try to offset it. It also helps bring real value to the gil itself. It can bring in new motivation, pieces. Those crysta, that type of currency, that token, can be turned into real cash. This is not a money laundering scheme for the game itself. It just gives you, the player, the option. So if you're coming in and you don't have much time to play, and you feel like, oh man, I would really like to do this, and do this, but there's no way I'm going to save up that amount of gil in the next couple of months. Maybe I want to go ahead and just get the token, and I'm going to go ahead and spend the money. Or you as a player, who has more time and is sitting on a lot of gil, can say, well, that's a really good idea. This encourages economy, this encourages players, this is, I think, a good positive system. The fact that it's been working in these other games for a long time is a sign. Hey! I'm busy. Oh, come here.
To help you. I want to help you.
You want to help me? Alright. Anyway, guys, for Work to Game, my name's Brian. Thanks so much for watching this video. Maddie, you want to say hi?
Hi, Fish.
I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, you okay? Alright. Bye.
Hey guys, Chris here. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see our next video, go ahead and click right there. If you'd like to see our vlog, click down below. The subscribe button should be right below me here, and you should see all of our contact information. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.